Hello, everybody. How are you? Welcome to today's Daily Edge. I'm just going to wait for about 2 minutes for everybody to join us, and we will be starting. We'll be going through today's news on coming out of the UK, both on both on Brexit and the economic data that came out. All right, now I will be right back in about 2 minutes. If you have any questions, just type them on the chat. I will be more than happy to to respond to them once I get them. Okay? All right, everybody, let's do this. Let's just check something out later. Yep, it's out. Okay. Okay, everybody, let's start with this. I'm just finishing inviting people. I'm finishing inviting everybody that joins my newsletter, my Daily Edge newsletter. If you want to get reminded every time I go live, there's a link below this video where you can join my newsletter. If you join my newsletter, you will get also some very good freebies from me. You will get free training sessions because I throw once a week, sometimes twice a week, some very good training sessions exclusive for Daily Edge subscribers. So if you really want to get the edge that you need to beat the market and improve your trading, just join my newsletter. I've left you a link on the bio of this video just below. Now I'm just finishing inviting everybody here for today's Daily Edge, and we've had some very interesting news coming out of the UK. The UK opposition leaders will have blocked Boris Johnson from pulling the UK out of the EU without a deal. Again, the same rhetoric that we had last week. But it's very interesting what we have going on. All right. So let's go through the actual news on my news terminal. You can watch them on the top left of my chart. We're going to go and we're going to start with the Brexit news. There's a little bit of the same rhetoric from the UK opposition leadership, but we had some very good GDP. The monthly GDP out of the UK, the GDP grew 0.3% last month versus 0.0% the previous month, and the estimates were that the GDP was going to grow only 0.1%. This pushed the pound up, and the pound, it rallied against all majors. Right now it's at plus 0.6% against the US dollar, and at plus 0.65% against the Japanese yen. So let's start with the US dollar currency index, shall we? You already know that I consider the US dollar to be king when trading FX. Um, and well, after last week's non-farm payrolls, we had well, quite a actually. I'm going to go to the to the hourly chart because this is what I want you to look at. This was the reaction during FEPs, if I'm not mistaken. But what's interesting, guys, is the close that we had on Friday. Okay, this close right here. We closed around the 98 level, and we opened all the way up here. Okay, we opened around the 98.44 level. Which means that this was a jump of around 0.35% from last Friday's open. Now, let's go back to the 4-hour chart because it's very interesting to see what's going on right now. Now, as you can see, we do have a very important area of resistance right around this level, right around the 98.50 level. And this is where sellers are jumping in. Okay, this is where sellers have jumped in the past, once here and twice right here before that that crash from Trump's tweets about increasing tariffs in Chinese goods. Now, this is what's interesting. Now, let me thicken this chart out for you. I think it's better if we can visually have a more comprehensive chart in front of our eyes. Now, this is what's interesting. We did open around these levels, but we are now moving down. Okay. Now, in the long term, we are still very bullish on the US dollar. We are still very bullish, but right now we are trapped inside of this range right here. With no directionality in my eyes. Okay, there's no direction. There's no really short-term direction in the US dollar. And when I say short-term direction, I mean I'm looking just at the price action of the past few days. Okay, because in the long term or the mid to long term, we are making higher highs and higher lows. Which means that we are in a bullish structure, but on the past few days there has been no direction, even with non-farm payrolls, which is a massive employment data that comes out of the US, if you don't know that, and it's a big market mover. All right, so there was I don't remember the numbers exactly, but it was a non-farm payrolls miss. Okay, so basically we are trapped inside of this range, and there's no economic data coming out of the United States today. So I do think that this is going to be a slow opening for the New York session, and we are going to remain trading inside of this range. Now, if we do break to the upside, I will be looking to buy the US dollar but where I would be looking to buy the US dollar actually would be the Euro USD. All right, let's move on. This was the US dollar currency index. If you have any questions, there's the chat on your right. I have it on my other screen, so just go ahead and type the questions, and I will be going through them once I see them. Again, if you want to get notified every time I go live, just subscribe to my Daily Edge newsletter. I left you a link at the bottom of this video. Of course, that not only you will get notified, but you will be able to get some freebies out of me, like free training sessions and free signals from time to time. Okay, now let's have a look at the pound versus the yen. The pound versus the yen was trading at a very interesting level at the close last Friday, right here. All right, now let's just thicken this chart out for you. It was trading at this level, rejecting some very important bullish targets. Now, the bullish targets that I'm talking about is this 161.8. Yeah, I'm going to delete that. This 161.8 retracement of this move. All right, this is a very strong bullish target, And not only that, we were rejecting the 61.8% retracement of the last big move to the downside of this move. So we moved from high to low and we retraced 61.8%. Not only that, we were testing this big previous base. So it all pointed out at a corrective move to the 130.40 or to the to the 130.40 at least, and maybe to the 129 for a continuation higher. Okay, but what happened is that with the good GDP numbers and of course the UK opposition blocking again Prime Minister Boris Johnson from pulling out the UK out of the EU without a deal, the pound rallied. Okay, now we're going to be looking to buy the pound on a retest here that will give us a great risk to reward scenario of around, let's calculate it. Now if we actually retest this level, okay, that will give us a nice that's around an 80 pip stop loss for a 200 pip possible target. That will give us a very nice better than 1 to 2 risk to reward scenario. Now let's have a look at the euro versus the US dollar. Now the euro versus the US dollar is at a very interesting level. We are still inside of this bearish structure, so we are looking to sell this currency pair, and this is where I told you that we were looking to buy the US dollar. Again, when the US dollar rallies, the euro versus the US dollar decreases or dips. I'm sorry. Okay, so this is the exact point where we're looking to buy the euro. Buy the US dollar by selling the euro versus the USD. Now, very interesting price action. After this big move to the upside, we are trapped inside of a triangle. This could mean that we are going to be going higher on a continuation pattern, but this could also be the top of this move. All right, we don't know what's going to happen, but we have some invalidation and validation levels going on. You can see that the bottom of this range is around the 110.20. all right, now if we manage to break this level, we are definitely going lower. And if again, in my eyes, even if we break to the upside a little bit, this won't minimize that we are going higher. We would have to break this level in order for me to look for buys in the euro versus the US dollar. And again, because I'm looking at the very short term on the US dollar as a bearish market, because of the range that it's trading at, I agree that the higher probability of this setup is to the south. All right, so a retest of the 109.38 to 109.30 level might be in play right now. Now, if you want to get my exact trading levels, I've left you a bonus right below this video. You can test our premium services out for just $25 the first month. All right, the link is below this video. Now let's move on. Let's have a look at what's happened here. All right, so the OPEC Monitoring Committee in Abu Dhabi may discuss new metrics for global oil markets monitoring, not new targets. Now, it's very interesting because there has been some news around crude oil. Like here at the bottom left of my chart of my trading terminal, you can see that the Oman's oil ministers say that they are satisfied at $60 per barrel, but they would want oil at 70. Now, this is very interesting because of where crude oil is trading at. Now, why don't we have a look at crude, actually? This is very interesting now. As you can see, crude is trapped inside of this range. At the top of the range is the 57 level. Now, I pointed out this doji because this is the candle that printed on last week's crude oil inventories on Thursday. Now, the crude oil inventories come out of the U.S. and the actual number was a decrease of 4.48 million barrels in crude oil inventories. That would mean that a lesser number or a decrease in inventories is bullish for the price in crude oil. And as you can see, at the time of the release, crude was trading below the 57 level. And that's what's interesting, all right? Let's go to the hourly chart because I want you to look at what really happened or the actual price action. Let's go to the 50-minute chart. I'm going to show you the 50-minute chart because I'm going to show you exactly what happened here. And then I'm going to go to the 4-hour chart, all right? Now, this is the 50-minute chart, and this is what happened. During crude oil inventories, price was trading around these levels. When the inventories came out, price rallied to the top at around the 57.70 level. And what do you know? I mean, even with those bullish numbers, sellers came in and crashed price again below the 57 level. And this is why I find the chart in crude oil very interesting at the moment. All right, let's go back to the 4-hour chart, and this is why I'm finding this chart very interesting at the moment, because we are again at the 57 level. Okay, now, and it's looking very well, it's not looking very bearish, but we can see that there are sellers jumping in again at this exact level. And not only that, but after this big bullish engulfing candle, and remember that this is just technicals on the chart, but I gave you some fundamentals too. After this big bullish engulfing candle, big buyers coming in at the point of control. The point of control is the level with the most traded volume in the past, and this market or volume profile is just calculating the volume inside of the range. All right, this is the volume that's interesting for us. Buyers jumping in at the point of control, big buyers, but again, they were unable to break with that 57 level. Sellers jumping in again. So I do think that the higher probability of the move is to the down or to the south side for at least a test of this point of control again, where we or even further down to the bottom of the range at the bottom of the range at the 53.23 level. And that this is where I could see real buyers jumping in, and this is where I will be looking to buy crude for maybe a breakout. All right, sorry about that arrow. This is what I'm looking at on this market. Very interesting price action, right? Now let's have a look at I don't know. Yeah, if you want to have a look at Bitcoin, why don't we have a look at Bitcoin? Bitcoin. Let me just get rid of this. Bitcoin. Very interesting price action. If you remember correctly, last week we were looking at this level for buys, and we did buy. But again, during the weekend, price in Bitcoin crashed below this level, the 10,467 level, and below this low, which validated a long idea. But again, now buyers jumped in around the 10,000 level, but for the moment, I don't see, or to me, there is no actual setup. Our true buy zone was all the way down here, but right now I really don't see any direction in Bitcoin unless we break with this high. But because we have broken with one low, not one low, but two lows, I do see the possibility of a down move more probable that a rally. Now, this is Bitcoin in my eyes. If you have any questions or commentary, just go ahead and type it on the chat. I will be more than happy to have a look at it. Now, the US dollar versus the Mexican peso keeps on dipping. Now, if you remember, this was our sell zone. Sadly, I had to put or execute my time stop when I sold around these levels just to see price in the US dollar versus the Mexican peso dip. But that's fine. The next target for this currency would be the 1940 level, or these lows. This previous base would be the next target for the USD Mexican peso. Not only that, but we would be looking at around the 61.8% retracement of the entire move to the upside. Now I'm going to take out this and let's have a look. And I think that this level will also be the would be around the 128 or 132 percent retracement of the last move up. Now let's have a look and let's grab our Fibonacci tool and let's calculate a retracement. Now, of course, that the 161.8 is all the way down. Now, interestingly enough, that the 161.8 retracement of this move is or confluences with this very important level of resistance. Okay, previous resistance that we have yet to test as support. So, so the targets that I'm looking at, the US dollar versus the Mexican peso, maybe for a buy, and that's a big maybe, is around the 1940 to 1929 level. Now let's move on. Again, we are still in a very much bearish market in the US dollar versus the Mexican peso, and we'll be looking for rallies to sell. But those are the targets to the downside that I'm looking at. All right, so let's move on. Let's have a look at the E-mini S&P 500. Again, this is the E-mini. Interesting, very interesting price action around these levels. You remember, if you remember correctly, if you follow this show, this was the zone that we were looking at for shorts again and again before we broke to the upside. When we broke to the upside was a very bullish push to, above not only the 39.50 to 29.40, but above this high. Right now we are at or testing this level, the 29.92 level. But to me, there is no actual setup. I'm just showing you some levels. What I will be looking for is this level, the 23.90, the 29.39. I'm sorry, I'm kind of dyslexic. For buys right here for a continuation higher and maybe a test of these highs or new all-time highs on the E-mini S&P 500. This is what I'm looking at. Now, if we break above today and we continue to rally, there's no actual setup for me. But I would love breakdown for an excellent risk to reward opportunity on a buy. Now, let's move on and let's have a look at some other markets, shall we? The euro versus the Australian dollar, that's fine. Let's have a look at the E-mini Dow. Now, again, the E-mini Dow is at a very interesting level. I'm sorry. I'm sorry about that, guys. I've lived all my life with allergies. Now, a very interesting level. I mean, just toying around with some levels, previous high, previous base, but I mean, there's nothing going on in the E-mini Dow or the Dow Jones that I would love. Again, because where we are right now, because of where we are right now, if we manage to break with this low around, or if we manage to trade about below the 26,700 level, I would love to look for sale opportunities for at least a test of the 26,000 level or the 2600 level in the E-mini Dow. That would be a very interesting case scenario on this market. Well, I guess that we have gone through quite a bit in a very speedy way, which I like. So again, thank you for joining me. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel, and don't forget don't forget to join my newsletter. The link is below. And if you like this analysis and you want to get my exact trade levels and more, and even more analysis on our premium community, I've left you with a good offer where you can try us out for just $25 the first month. That's only one diner. That's only one meal on a restaurant, if you want to put it that way. Thank you for joining me, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Goodbye.